Okay, so now this is the 20th night, and we're going to talk a little bit about, something that's a little bit more difficult. But, we have to be fair about things. So, during the cleaning process, it goes on during the fasting month. Um, in my experience, and I think, and I've talked to other people, so it also happens to them. There's like, a time that comes when, it happened to me just yesterday. Oh, when you kind of start to, you're not even trying to or anything, just kind of somehow starts to come up, and from one little thing and another, and then you start to remember all the things that you did in your life. Not all of them, but I mean the main things and the big things, because once you get in that category, then you go to other main things, maybe some slighter things, and you go to some other slight things. So you go to quite a bit of what it was that you did in your life that you just totally regret and maybe caused some real harm and damage. But most of these things are things which, you know, there's an old story that the guy did something really bad and he wanted to fix it. So he goes, so he goes to the old wise guy or whatever in the village. I think this was in Mexico or something. I don't know, but it's a story. So he goes and he says, please help me, you're wise and everything, and tell me how I can fix this thing. And so the guy says, okay, this was I guess on Monday or something. You don't tell you the story. He says, okay, come back on Thursday. I don't remember the, it's like say something, like around 10 in the morning, and I'll help you understand this. We'll deal with the thing. So the guy, it's like 3 days, so he goes through who knows what, and so then he comes back on the fourth day or the third day or whatever it was, Thursday morning. He's there. So the the wise guy hands him. I should. The wise guy hands him a pound of feathers, wrapped up. Now, as it happened on that day, you know, in this story, but as it happened on that day in the story, why the wind was just blowing away, a pretty strong wind out there. He says, "Now here's what I want you to do. You go out there." Because the guy really wanted to make up for the thing that he'd done that wasn't good. And he said, "Now you go out there." He said, "You unwrap this bundle of feathers and throw it up in the air." So you go. Now then, I want you to go out there and I want you to pick up all the feathers. When you got them all picked up, you come, you come back in, and this, probably, you know, um, you know, you can do that or something. I don't know what else he said, but basically, go out, throw them up, then go around, pick them all up, and bring them back in. So the guy was out there for quite a while, and after a while he came back. He said, he said, it's impossible. I can't. They've blown off to every which way, and So you probably get the idea of the story now. The guy said, well, that's how it is when you make mistakes. You can never really, you can't. All the consequences of your mistake, you can't. Never pick up all the feathers. Aww. Especially when the wind's blowing, which it does, So anywho, so during this period, this thing comes, you start remembering all these things. Now, I just want to mention that, mostly when you do something that's not good, you regret it's wrong, a normal, sane, regular person, there are limits to things. So you look at it, and you get all upset about it, you try to do something about it, and you do what you can do. But then, at a certain point, there's a diminishing return. There's no more you can do. you realize that you're kind of taking a lot of time thinking about it, and you're not getting anywhere because it's already done, and it's done, and it's done, so it's done. So you say that you're sorry, and if you can, you ask people to forgive you or whatever. Maybe you make some sort of record, but then you kind of ease off of it. And then maybe if you're like me, at a certain point, if you keep thinking about it, well, you'll get prompted not to think about it anymore. Just don't think. So it's a little bit like, the clam and the pearl. See, that clam, I guess, gets oyster and the pearl. Is it oyster? I think it's an oyster. Oysters and pearls. Not. Yeah. Is it oysters? I don't know. Clams, oysters. Probably oysters. Anyway, it gets that little grain of sand in there. It's irritating. As a defense, makes this beautiful thing, this pearl. People treasure these things. I don't know why. I mean, it's obviously a suffering that the poor thing had making these things. Then they wear them around their neck. People are so funny, But anyway, so then there you go. And so you do it as a self-defense. But see, like if you cover that pearl over that irritating grain of sand, which is your mistake I'm talking about, enough, why, and you have the beautiful pearl, then after a while you go, wow, no pain, I'm feeling good now, see, my irritation is all gone, I feel good, I'm okay, I'm alright. But, so you forget about the pearl, if you're an oyster, or whatever they are, clams, anyway, so during the fast, the Almighty, or the Almighty arranges, I don't know the details of it all, but I mean, what happens, and so you all of a sudden start remembering all these things, oh God, I did that, see, and first thing you know, boy, you're at it again, you ask for forgiveness, and you're so sorry, and sometimes you can imagine, you start imagining it, you just go back, not do that, do this other perfect thing, and stuff, and so you go through that, and it's really quite unpleasant, and at that point, at some point there, generally, those of us who fast, you realize it's all up to God. If God doesn't help us, see, God can go and pick up the feathers, because He can act outside of man. He can do something that man can't do. I mean, really, outside of the laws that govern man, He can act. But the thing is, the game is the game, so if we just keep interfering with the game all the time, well, that wouldn't be much of a game. I talked about this before. Anywho, so during the fast, just to be fair, I want to mention, it's been 20 days. This is the 20th night. Tomorrow will be the 20th day. So I had to go through that. Oh, God. And I think it bears mentioning that it's true what it says in the Quran. In the Quran, and I don't want to get whacked for this. There's a surah where the messenger of God received, and he says something to the effect. This is the gist of it, pretty much. I don't remember the exact words, but it's something to the effect that if you knew the truth, you would preserve your own soul and not something, give it away, or give it over, trade it for some temporary thing that the world gives you. And I think, and also along those lines somewhere, it says the things the world gives you are momentary. Of course, when you read it, you might say, well, what momentary? Well, I had the car for years, or a beautiful life. Later, you understand more about what it means. It is momentary, but so it kind of, comes down to what kind of realization that you have. That you wish that you had never done anything wrong. Not so that you could have a perfect record, but because in the inner life of your inner being, mistakes and errors are kind of, irritating and unpleasant. They keep coming up. They won't go away, or they gradually work out, and it does work out. And God is merciful, very merciful about this. So life goes on. You're okay. You are okay. Things go well, but every now and then it comes up. You know, um, and there's some things you could probably think of it for yourself, but that go on. Pretty obvious about this, but I'm not going to talk about that because we want to try to stay on all happy times and upbeat and things like that. So anyway, what my point is that what it brings you to is that truth that you shouldn't have given up. You shouldn't have given up, and that's basically because of the pressure here and everything, the kind of thing that you do. Now I'm talking to some of the maybe the Muslim brothers. I shouldn't pick on them. Anyone could be, but let's say you're saying your prayers, and you kind of know that you should kind of calm down and kind of really open up and get into that prayer. There's a lot of difference between saying, how does it go? Between saying, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu, blah, 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 that, No content, right? Just puts out the words real fast. The words, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you kind of notice that you're going along with it. You remember what's in it. Yeah, I'm good. I'm remembering, God is great and created all the worlds and so on. Talking about the Fatiha. And so, but you don't because now if we look at the prayer with content, Bismillah, ar-Rahman, ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu, wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-sirata mustaqim. See, now I'm starting to feel some peace in my feelings. I don't even know what I'm saying. Because I've taken the time to say the prayer. So, brothers, I'm just saying, those of you, because I've seen you guys. I've been around you during Ramadan. There's no content whatsoever. It's no use. It's like say 50 a million times and then you get a prize. No content. Well, you might disagree. And, I'm not going to say, because you have an intention, maybe from that. I'm not, just saying. So because of the pressure, because you have things to do, gosh, 5 prayers a day, all this stuff, what is it that you have to do this? That's the thing, but, so you give it up. You give up your birthright. What the prophet, the messenger of God, gave you was a wonderful prayer, which if you would slow down and just let the content come out, say the prayer, ooh, you would feel so good, and you would understand things too, about your being and everything else. But it's hard to do. It's easy to say about this. It's hard to do because you say the prayer so many times. I'm not going to be an apologist for you. I'm not going to say anything about it because it's not my area of expertise. But anyway, so that's the thing that happens. It's about giving into the pressure of the world and giving up. So, like in that case, for instance, you give up this marvelous gift for your soul for the momentary pleasure. You get this done in 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes, and you get a chance to go and hear Imam Suda book talk about blah blah blah. See, now we as Muslims must rise up, fight against the the inevitable, the Satans, and then of course the thing is, but see, actually to fight against the Satans, the best thing to do would be to really, no, you recommend, I suggest, if you haven't done this recently, and I'm sure a lot of you have, good-hearted people, sincere, this occurs to you, and you do this, and I think you probably know the result. But if you haven't, and you've just been kind of, said 5, that's it, that's my obligation, okay, I'm good, see? And then maybe you imagine you get a prize. But the thing is not like that. It's for you. It's all for you. So if you do it right, if you cook your eggs right, they're going to be good, aren't they? It's for you. You don't have to just cook the eggs because you say, well, I know you wanted me to cook the eggs, so here they are. And you have to eat some of them yourself. And it's not too bad. You did what you're supposed to do. That's not good. Don't get anything out of that. Oh, I'm sorry to babble, because that's what happens. But anyway, so that was my thing about the 20th night, kind of the hard part. And, not to worry. I mean, it lasts a little while, and then it goes through. And it kind of closes up again, and then for another year, maybe, if you stop making big mistakes, why? Big mistakes. The mistakes usually come because, you're really not paying attention to the Almighty in your life. The point of the point of view, the inner point of view of the soul. Okay, what am I doing now? See, well, I'm sure it's not too interesting. Fast, but anyway, so there's, well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so there's the 20th night of the fast.